So I have a question for you. Have you ever accidentally thought that you were a multimillionaire? Well, Ilhan Omar says she is not a multimillionaire. And look at this headline from the Wall Street Journal. She thought she was, though. Omar was standing down. Look at this headline. Ilhan Omar says she isn't a multimillionaire, blames accounting error. Okay, so an accounting error led her to believe she was very wealthy. Well, Omar was staring down a potential investigation after disclosing that she and her husband's assets were valued between $6 million and $30 million on a financial disclosure form. Now listen to this. That was an astronomical increase in wealth from her last disclosure, but she has since amended her filing, now saying that her assets are valued between $18,004 to $95,000. So 6 to 30 million to under 100,000. How in the world does that happen? Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, quote, aides said that Omar looked at the form before it was filed in 2025, but that the error did not jump off the page for her because she isn't involved with her husband's businesses. Okay, wow. But you know who is a proud millionaire? Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and she might be tired of making money. She's claiming to have always supported a bill to ban members of Congress from stock trading.
Speaker Pelosi, do you support the Trust in Congress Act, the bipartisan bill from Representatives Spanberger and Roy that would ban members of Congress from trading individual stocks or require them to place their assets in a blind trust? And if not, why not?
Well, I think it's a new bill now because Spanberger's not
initially,
here.
but it's been
a new bill. But we on the Democratic side have supported the bill, as you described, plus it should include the executive branch. And that's one of the discussions that they're having now, because the executive branch is making out like a bandit. I originally was reluctant on it because I didn't think our members were breaking the law. But if the public felt that way and the Congress wanted, I was all for the bill. But there was not a majority to pass it. And that's why it was not brought up. And I'm not going to name names of people who opposed it.
Interesting. Well, if she's always been in full support of a ban, why did she react this way when Jake Tapper asked her a simple question about it?
Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this.
Well, maybe because Nancy Pelosi and her husband, Paul, have reportedly raked in over $130 million in stock profits over the course of her congressional career. Must be nice. Follow the Pelosi stocks. Joining me now, Republican Congressman Tim Burchett from Tennessee, who wants to stop all of this. When you look at this, I want to pull up this headline, and you have been on this. You have been trying to stop this for a long time. New York Post, Nancy Pelosi made $130 million in stock profits during Congress career, a return of 16,930%. Tell me about your plan to stop it. It sounds like Nancy Pelosi has been in lockstep with you.
Oh, yeah, right. I'll sell you the dome off the Capitol, too. Thank you for having me on, ma'am. No, this is just a bait and switch, ma'am. The bill that's circulating right now allows you to keep your stocks, and you just can't buy anymore. So if you've got a $30 million portfolio, dadgummit, of course you're gonna enhance it by the way you vote. These are just profiteers, and that's all it is, pure and simple. It's both sides of the aisle. When we gave our missile defense system to Ukraine, and then they had to issue a multi-billion-dollar no-bid contract. Who do you think owns stock in that missile defense company? I'll give you a guess. Members of Congress, both sides of the aisle. And I believe some of them possibly made some purchases very, very shortly before Joe Biden made that, or whoever, or Obama, I guess, made the decision for him. I don't know. But listen, Congress is crooked as a dog's leg. Nobody's making 16,000% return. Dadgummit, if I did that, she ought to be up at Wall Street advising investors up there, and not in Congress. This is a joke. America knows it. The only reason they're endorsing this plan because they know it won't go anywhere in the do-nothing Senate. And if it does, they'll pass something different. And then guess what? They'll all laugh about it. They'll laugh at us and be toasting themselves up at Kennebunkport with probably the wine that we paid for.
Wow, Congress is as crooked as a dog's leg. That certainly is a quote, Congressman Burchett. I want to put up another one of your quotes. You said this: there's not too many times you see Tim Burchett and Democrat New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez agree on anything. But dadgum, this is one of those cases. So AOC wants to do this with you. How many Democrats want to ban these stock trades?
There's quite a few, actually. It's and they're sick of it too. But there's strength in numbers, and that tells you, I think, a little bit that maybe Speaker Pelosi's power is waning, because back in the day they would have never done that. Their office would have become a bathroom stall down in the basement of Longworth or something, and this would have never occurred. But I think you're seeing it now. There's a big change with them on this issue, and they see it, and partly probably due to the fact they hate capitalism, which I don't. I just hate crooked people. I don't really hate them. I just have a lot of distaste for them. And the American public's tired of this stuff, ma'am. We got to fix this. And the bill that's circulating won't. My bill is simple. It just says you cannot buy and trade stocks. You have to get a mutual fund. That's what my buddy Tommy Siler is, my stockbroker, and he managed my $12,000 portfolio very well. And my other buddy Andy Venable does it too. And I of course, I've since cashed it out because I had to send my daughter to school for a year. But anyway, I just think that's what they need to do. Own a mutual fund, get out of the stock market.
Seems fair. Congressman, I do want to ask you, too, about Ilhan Omar. This was Wall Street Journal reporting, so I mean, it's rock solid here. How do you go from multi-million-dollar net worth assets to all of a sudden it's less than $100,000? Does that pass the smell test? I mean, you fill out these financial disclosures. Are they that confusing?
I get another dadgum account if I was her. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Nobody's buying that stuff. Congressional ethics, I think, is like military intelligence, ma'am. I just don't think it exists. I don't know what it is when these folks get up here, but dadgummit. To me, it's just night and day, and America gets it. And, we'll pass something tough again, and the Senate will pass something different, and nothing will occur.
Man, it's very frustrating. And the whole excuse about, I don't know about my husband's businesses. Well, I can tell you this. If my husband was running multi-million-dollar businesses, me as a spouse, I would know about it. All right. Congressman Tim Burchett, thanks for saying it straight.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.